What's up? How's it? Aloha, it is me, Makani. Welcome to Culturize. This is the space where we share, we teach, we learn, and we just talk about culture, whether it's ethnic, whether it's native, whether it's social. I'm so excited today because this is one for all of the dancers, not just hula dancers, just Polynesian dancers and native Hawaiians in business and all kinds of things we're going to talk about today. Sitting in front of me is Kelina Eldredge, of course, Sue and Kelina. Aloha.
Aloha.
How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
We haven't seen each other in like a few weeks?
Yeah.
Every time we see each other, we're always in front of a camera. Behind it, we're always doing something. Before we continue on, of course, we are a cultured show, so at the same time, we have to follow CDC rules. So this is the way we have to present lei now.
Oh, thank you.
Right. So
thank you so
kukui
much.
for you folks. You can hold on to that. You can put it on. Personally, it's one of my favorites. A lot of people are always like, kukui, I can get it at Walmart. I said, yeah, but I made it. Right? But of course, the kukui, as everyone knows, it is. I was taught that every kukui represents knowledge. As a human, where do we store all of our knowledge? In our hard drive. So make sure that knowledge is continually around your po'o. First implement you've ever played, if you remember playing.
Oh.
What would it be?
Probably kala'au.
Yeah.
That's always everybody's first one, I would say.
One.
You know, keo nani.
One or two. Okay, I was just going to say one or two. Kept right. Hiluna la.
Iluna. Yeah, exactly.
Man, that hula, if it gets stuck in your head, I remember teaching class and I couldn't get it out of my head for months and months. You driving. Iluna. No wonder why we teach. So kala'au, right? For you, first implement you remember playing, making.
I think it's ipu.
Wow, that's
ipu,
another
only
good one.
because you go to Kamehameha's, your expirations, and you're
that's
cutting and making your own ipu.
Right. I
right?
totally forgot.
I mean,
that's right.
I don't think implements were used much when I was younger, as a younger dancer.
Yeah.
But when I went to expirations, you had to make your own, right? So that was.
That's right. Are they still making ipu at
You know, they do, you know.
I
if they're having expirations.
I think to myself, how long has explorations been going on?
I know. I was just going to say, I didn't know, Mom, you went to explorations. It's that long ago.
Oh, the things you're going to find out about you. It's like, wow. Not only do you sell ipu, but I think to myself, how many ipu are made every explorations? I don't even know how many kids now are in explorations.
Probably 1,000 during the summer, right? Because they do like 3 or 4 courses.
Man.
Of like 250 kids each session.
Apparently, you guys are in the right business. So, first implements you played. Before we get into some other things, where'd you grow up in high school? Let's start with Mom.
Yeah.
I grew up younger, IA Elementary.
Okay, right there.
And then at 6th grade, we moved to Nanakuli. So I grew up on the west side on homestead land. Yeah.
First road, second road, third.
Above the high school, a little bit higher.
Whoa.
Yeah, but you know Nanakuli when you can say first, second, third road. Other people don't understand that.
That's when you say Nanakuli Heights.
There you go.
Like, what is that?
Above the high school. So
Wow.
the second subdivision of Hawaiian homes.
So could you see Manaya Kalani, the Maui's hook from you?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. You can see because we're all the way towards the top. Well, when I was growing up, there wasn't any above us. We were at the highest point.
Okay.
And then the third phase of Homestead came in, and then they built above us, but right by that ranch at the top.
That Palihua Valley Ridge, I could wake up to that every single. I always go and every time people come to that side, I always have to share the story about Maui, right? Mm-hmm. And it's surprising. A lot of people don't know that Maui there's a correlation with Nanakuli and Maui, and I love that because I had to do a tour one day with Paradise Helicopters, and I had to tell people about the Palihua Ridge. And I said, look, do you see the hook? And they were just like, what? Yeah. The pilot was like, I fly all the time. I had no idea. Huh. Wow, Nanakuli.
Yeah. Nanakuli High School, class of 85.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Hawks.
Yes, the golden hawks.
Right, see. Not Iolani. No. The golden hawks. Wow, from Aya to Nanakuli, country girl, homestead, I love it. Yep. For you, of course, same home, but...
I've been born and raised Eva Beach,
nice.
But I went to Kamehameha School since kindergarten.
Whoa, lifer.
Yeah.
Got one up on Zach. Lifer, kindergarten through, what was that like? Is there a lot of lifers? It's so weird to
We
say.
start off with, there's 80 in the class. So we start off, every kindergarten class starts off with 80.
Okay.
And then
All
we add.
80?
And then,
Do you know? Did they stay?
oh no, not all 80. I think we ended with about 65 of us.
Wow, that's still a good number. And
Yeah,
you
I mean, and we
graduated
graduated
with how many?
like 450 about.
See, I'm from Lanai. Then I went to Lahaina. I had 20 people in my
Yeah.
class.
Oh, I thought I was bad. I'm like 98. And graduating, maybe it was like 80.
So if you're joining us, this is Culturized. We're sitting with Ohana Eldredge, Kelina, and Sue, and we're talking their culture in their lives and how they implement that into their adult life and so much more. So if you are here on Culturized, don't forget culturized.com. You can get past episodes at YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be sharing, teaching, learning culture right here. It's Hawaiian culture on Culturized. Bringing you what matters. Viewers can receive the Star Advertiser Digital Full Access subscription for just $9.95 per month. Go to staradvertiser.com and click on subscribe. Use the code AHITHING. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us. Welcome back to Culturized. We're sitting with Ohana Eldredge, and we're talking how you folks were raised. So, Nanakuli, from Aiea to Nanakuli, ethnic backgrounds for you.
I'm a Hapa girl.
Nice.
Half Japanese, half Haole.
Wow.
My parents divorced when I was 4, so I was raised by Hawaiian stepmom. Yeah, and my dad.
I love that. And that's such a Hawaii concept,
totally,
right?
yeah.
It's almost weird in Hawaii to use the word step, right?
Because it's weird to me to say that to you. Yeah.
Exactly, because that is your makua is your makua,
Yeah.
no matter where you came from.
Right.
Even the concept of hanai. Growing up in Nanakuli with mom, what was more in the household? Was it Hawaiian culture in the household? Was it local culture?
No, it was Hawaiian. We lived with our great-grandparents, my great-grandparents.
That
so,
lucky.
Outside and pick ilima every day. That was the ritual. We made ilimale every day. Because both of my parents worked at Kamehameha schools.
But wait, did you like picking ilima?
No, that was Punaman's job. Punaman had his clothespin with his bag, and he would pick every day. And I would sit with my grandmother and take the backs off and on the cushion.
Wow.
So ilimale, that was our thing.
You had to have time.
Yeah.
Right?
Literally.
What you gonna do in Nanakuli? Stay out of trouble.
I had an auntie that lived in Waipahu, and she would make ilimale, and she's like, "Boy, come over to the house." No, auntie. No, because you know why you're going
it's
over.
been a long time.
Wow,
It was our thing.
You remember making lei. What other things do you remember about growing up in Nanakuli?
Well, Nanakuli is a place you could just walk anywhere. I mean, then again, I lived at the top of the mountain.
Right.
And not often was the bus running, the small bus shuttle going up. So if you want to go beach, that's a long trek down and a long trek back up. But
favorite beach in Nanakuli?
it's got to be the beach park. Nanakuli
Nice,
Beach Park.
nice.
But there's this, I've always told the kids, that I'm not a beach person. Although because I hate the sand.
Okay, well, you did. You lived in the Kuahivis.
Right? And it was too far of a walk.
That
Because you
makes
walked
sense.
it, and
That
it was a
makes
hill,
sense.
right? But when we did go, it was Nanakuli Beach Park because you got depots, you got
Yes.
tracks, you got
I
black
love
hole,
that.
you got all of them. But when anybody like a friend would come, I was like, you have to go to Nanakuli. You got to be safe.
Yes.
Lock your valuables up. And to watch the current because that's a strong current, but it's the most beautiful beach ever.
It is. I love. Usually when I leave work at the healing center in Waianae, I always stop at Nanakuli. I have to hi'uvai. Like it's like
go.
I gotta go back east of the power plant. I gotta go hi'uvai before I go back. Right.
Yeah.
Nanakuli and Eva Beach. Now, were you boarder or did you ride the bus to Kamehameha?
No, I rode the bus every day.
Even at kindergarten.
From kindergarten.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
I always ask the question: what was it like sitting on the bus from Eva Beach? Now, if you can remember that far back, there's high schoolers, every grade. What was that experience?
I mean, I was pretty lucky. I never really had issues. But it has taught me to sleep anywhere. So I am able to pass out anywhere, no matter where I go, because Kamehameha School's bus taught me that.
That's true, because she was the last one off the bus. We had to go get her because she was sleeping.
Okay, I was just gonna say, adding that to my list because I've heard stories of the bus. Kids falling asleep and the driver like, "Hey, we're here.
Yeah.
You gotta get off." Your parent, you know what I mean? That is the funniest thing. And it's growing up. I used to have this vision. So on Lanai, they only let one. They would pick one Lanai kid to go to Kamehameha. Only one. But I always had this, and it wasn't me. I always had this vision of a Kamehameha school bus ride that all the kids are just ukulele and guitar and hula in the aisles. No, for real. Like, I would think that. I'm like, oh, that's such a Hawaiian school. And I know they're doing that on the bus because my friends were in boarders. And I was thinking, even in my head, I went to Lahaina boarding department. We had to work. And I'm thinking these guys were probably in the dorms, ho'ike every night, right? Ho'ike every night where work's
You had chores.
We had chores.
Wow.
We would wake up at 5 a.m. And daily. Wow. We wake up at 5 a.m. whether you worked at swine, poultry, the egg farm, the orchard, the garden. We had all. Yeah, this is before school. Yeah, this is crazy. Now, mind you, this one it sounds like you're back in the 60s and 70s. It's like the 80s. But we'll talk a little bit more about Lahaina Hula. That's so sleeping anywhere, which is also good for our adult life as performers.
Oh, for sure.
Because half our time is waiting, right?
Yes.
What do you remember about growing up culturally?
I think it instilled at a young age Hawaiian culture, just regardless. I've always felt this need to do more, be better. You know, those little things that you don't realize. And I think as I become an adult, because through my high school years, I was kind of like, Hawaiian culture, like.
I was exactly like that, and we're gonna get a little bit deeper into your mana'o about just being Hawaiian.
Yes.
So if you are joining us, welcome to Culturized. My name is Makani. We're sharing culture, Hawaiian culture, right here on Culturized. Aloha Termite and Pest Control, your local and leading pest and termite control solution in the state. Always providing you superior service with Aloha. Hey, welcome back to Culturized. We're sitting down talking Hawaiian culture in the household, of course, with the Eldredges. Now, we're talking, you obviously went to Kamehameha school, so you were getting culture within school.
Yes.
What was it more culture in school, more culture at home, or was it a perfect fit when you went to Kamehameha?
I think it was a good fit because I grew up local family. You just know. It's just things we did around that.
It's just the stuff we did.
Earlier we talked about, and it's always that thing, right? It's always, am I doing enough Hawaiian things? Am I Hawaiian enough? And this is always a statement that always intrigues me, and I say it all the time when there are some people that, how Hawaiian are you? Or are you Hawaiian enough? Or and then you don't really think about it, and then you start to think when you're alone, right? Oh, maybe. Well, I just say, what do you pili to? What do you, if we're dancers or whatnot? Another weird question is I always ask people, when did you realize you were Hawaiian?
Honestly, it was later. A lot later.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was after I graduated Kamehameha, and I think I wish I took more advantage of the opportunities Kamehameha offered.
Right.
But being young and dumb, and you just you take advantage because Kamehameha was all I knew too. So I thought every school was just we had these opportunities, and you leave and you realize how much they offer. Yeah.
So I always wonder, because you're there from kindergarten, it's either gonna make you appreciate our culture, or it's gonna make you like, oh, yeah, again, right?
Yeah.
And so every time people say, oh, are you Hawaiian enough? I never get that. I never get that. I remember it was Uncle Kawai Cockett one day. He had said, he goes, do people ask if you're Hawaiian? I said, yeah. He goes, do people ever ask how Hawaiian you are? I'm like, yeah. He's like, and what do you say? I was like, I don't know how to answer that question. He goes, do you do Hawaiian things? I was like, yeah. He goes, then you are. He goes, there's no level, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So when you realized, your Hawaiian-ness, what's the first thing you pili to? Hula, mele?
I've always pili to hula, and I've been hula dancer since I was 2 years old. Mom taught us since we were babies. So I've always connected to dancing. All through Kamehameha too. I danced at Kamehameha. I danced professionally since the age of 15. So I've always been a dancer. But
did you see it in a different light?
I saw it in a different light when I joined Hello.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say. Yeah, I would always remember my cool Ed Colley, he'd always say, show dancer, hula dancer. Two different things.
Very big difference.
Right?
Very
big
different.
First hula you remember? Or first hula you did?
Well, in
Besides
halal.
Kelina.
Oh, yeah. Well, in halal though, the first hula we learned in halal was ano'ai.
Wow.
And we were just joking about this the other day, but I was literally in halal maybe like a month, and Kumu was like,
"This is it,
girl. We're joining. We're putting you on the competition line." So there was like 4 of us,
That's
brand new to
crazy.
halal, and we did Kamehameha competition.
The things we do when Kumu says. I always wanted to. You guys, please make a T-shirt that just says Kumu says.
Right.
Kumu says on the back. It says I do.
Yeah.
There's I think Ilya or somebody has a halal shirt that says I can't. I have hula. And I'm like, that's another one.
Here's another one. I'll just give it away. I always said I wanted to make a shirt that said for the kane. My girlfriend said the next time I go to halal, she's gonna leave me. On the back is aloha oi. So we're talking. So first hula you remember doing?
Gosh, it's too long ago.
See,
I don't
thank you because
remember.
my recall is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, even for me to like we've taught for so long. I taught for so long. I can't even remember the motions. She has to stand next to me, and then I can hula.
Mahalo for that because I thought I was the only one.
Is it AGE virus?
Maybe, because sometimes I sit down and go, okay, what's the first hula I did? Okay, I remember it, and then I try and go through the motions. I don't even remember.
Because there's different segments. There's like what I learned, what I taught, what I'm doing now. There's so many phases.
We're sitting down trying to remember hula. What was your first hula? We want to know. We're talking culture, sharing it right here with Ohana Eldredge. We're going all the way into culture right here in Culturized. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, we got to thank Kaimioke Kai Clothing, making me look way better with clothes on than a malo. It's Culturized. For all your money needs, Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is here for you. Visit hificu.com. That's hi-fi, letter C, letter U.com. Thanks for joining us right here in Culturized. I love it today because we're sitting with Ohana Eldredge and we're talking hula implements. We're talking hula. We're talking, do we remember hula? Do you remember every hula you've danced?
Oh, definitely not.
Okay.
I know. My Kumu just got mad at me the other day because he's like, we pulled back an old one, and I was like, I haven't done this one since 2016.
I totally know. See, you're getting.
But not supposed to have excuse.
Yeah, I cannot have excuses. Definitely not.
See, you're getting like us. Now, you get raised in a Hawaiian household, hula dancers. You're familiar with implements from the ipu to the pu'ilis, but how the transition now, Aloha Hula Supply, how'd that come about? Because the lifeline to any dancer, right? Sorry, Kumu, but there were times like, I don't want to make a uli.
We get those a lot.
I know. How did that happen? How did culture as a business? It's sometimes you think about it, it's kind of difficult.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure. But that's what we sell. That is
exactly.
our business on a daily to the world.
How did that come about? What was the mindset? What was the moi uhane? Was there a dream? Was there you guys
okay, so I had my own dance. To be a stay-at-home mom, I opened my own dance studio,
right.
Polynesian dance studio.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's where I started teaching Kelina, 2 years old. First in our garage, 12 students, and it grew. We did that for 13 years or so, to over 120 students on an annual basis.
Nice.
But because I had my own dance studio, I needed implements as well. I needed stuff.
Right.
Right. So I went to Hula Supply Center. I went to Aloha Hula Supply. So I was a customer.
I'm thinking
on the corner of Eisenberg and King.
I used to watch them soak mori.
Yeah.
I would always think to myself, I wish I lived in that apartment building right next door.
Oh yeah. And then the two brothers separated 20 some years ago, and I followed Steve into Aloha Hula Supply, so I was his customer, and then got to, talk story. He found out I had a business background. He's like,
nice.
Do you want to work? I'm like, I run my own studio, but my kids are now all in school. So I have a little bit of time in the morning before I teach my classes at 4:00 in Eva Beach. So I would come in. I started, maybe about 14 years ago.
2008.
2008, yeah.
So literally work, personal life, professional life was all culture.
Everything.
That's rare.
It's everything.
That's really rare. I like that. Now you guys have Aloha Hula Supply, but not only. So hula is an operative word because it's not only hula implements.
it's not.
You got what other cultures, implements and materials you guys have?
Yeah, go.
We're trying to expand to all Polynesian cultures, really, so that we can help everybody across the board. But I mean, our next biggest culture definitely is Tahitian. We send Tahitian skirts to Tahiti.
To Tahiti.
Wait.
Yeah,
No, for sure. Because they cannot get the color that we can get. So they can get the natural moire, but they can't get a red. They can't get a bright white.
That's
So
crazy.
that's our little caveat to the business. So we ship the skirts to the Heva.
Those
are my skirts.
Mind blown, which is kind of cool at the same time. Tahitian, Maori.
Samoan, and we added Tongan a little bit more recently.
Nice.
Trying to focus because our braider is Tongan, Liu Waki. Yeah,
Love her.
Auntie Liu.
Love her.
She's my braider. She's been our braider for over 10 years now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We used to work together at Paradise Cove.
Yeah, so she's added our, we brought in the pheasant feathers, we brought in the small fulu feathers, so that we can fit their needs
the
as well.
puleoto shells.
Yeah.
Trying.
But that's amazing. So if you're a dancer, if you know a dancer, you know somebody, even just to have these things, Aloha Hula Supply is like the lifeline for any dancer. This is Culturized. We're sitting down and we're talking story with the Eldredges, and we're talking about culture in business, culture as business, business is culture. And we're talking hula, we're talking implements. You want the extended version because I can't let them go yet. You got to go to our YouTube and check out the extended version. We got to thank, of course, star advertiser Kaimioke Clothing and you for tuning in. Thank you so much. This is Culturized. Don't forget our website is culturized.com. Aloha Hula Supply. Mahalo for being here, ladies.
Thank you.
I'm not going to let you go yet because I want to talk more story. Again, thank you very much for joining us. This is Culturized. Hey, welcome back to Culturized. If you're joining us on YouTube, this is the extended version. If you watched the previous, thank you so much for doing that. You can get all of our previous episodes right here. This is where we share, we talk, we learn culture, whether it's ethnic, whether it's native, whether it's social. And we are sitting with Kelina Eldredge. They are in the business of culture. And I love the fact that you're doing that because I'll just say sometimes there's people in the business of culture, but they don't have the cultural foundation, right? And teaching Tahitian, teaching hula, dancing. And now it's Aloha Hula Supply. And you folks have a good inside marketer because, correct me if I'm wrong, 2017? 2017. If you've never been to the Merry Monarch Hula Festival, first of all, what's wrong with you? You've been living under a rock. But 2017, Miss Aloha Hula, that's the title. Yeah. Man. What I want to know is, or a lot of people want to know, the preparation.
Oh my goodness.
When was the very first practice? If
I can tell you the
Is it a
dates.
year out? No way.
Oh no, it's about 4 months. It was January 3rd.
4 months.
4 months.
Really?
4 months.
Man. 4 months. That's
However,
amazing though.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was stressful. I literally lived, breathed,
Eat, sleep.
Chanted
Yeah.
sleep in the shower.
Literally. My boyfriend at the time used to be like, "You're chanting your sleep again." But it's constantly running in your head. That's all you had. But
I call it hula Tourette's. You have hula Tourette's. This is the new term.
Yes,
hula Tourette's. Because you
for
know you're
sure.
driving and a song comes on and you're like,
you gotta practice.
and people in the other car think you're crazy.
Exactly.
If you're not hulaing to a song, you're like, no, and then you start getting the kind of you're like, oh, please give me a red light, get a red light so I can Oli. Do you do that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I chant in the car all the time. That's the only time I really do chant. Like I can chant full out that I can practice because
nobody's here.
Nobody's here. Nobody's listening.
And it's always crazy to me though. I learned as a healer. One of my first Oli I had to learn was to wake up a heiau, right? Mm-hmm. And so Uncle Kamaki Kanahele is like, okay, this is the Oli we practice. I was like, but how do I practice that if I'm waking it up? Do they know I'm practicing?
Yeah.
I don't want to be driving my head and things just wake up, right? So hula, the preparation for that. I'm really intrigued. 4 months.
4 months.
It takes me 4 months to learn the first verse of any song, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did 4-hour practices. We only
Which
started
is standard, right?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. We started, it started maybe like a couple times a week, and then we moved and got more and more and more.
And at the same time, you're at the store.
Yeah.
Working. But luckily she works for mom, right?
Yeah. Good thing my mom's my boss.
But still, though, because you're going to be like, no, I don't care if you're tired.
Yeah.
Oh, you had halal for 4 hours. Well, the
Yeah.
store needs to be open.
Exactly. So I used to do about 4 hours in the morning, 8 to 12, and then go to the store from like 12 to like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then go back to hula because we had group practices in the evening from like 6 to whenever it was POW.
Just the mindset of a Miss Aloha Hula prior to that, do you find, we know as dancers, one day you're going to cry, one day you're going to laugh, one day you're going to want to give up, one day you're like, F everything.
Oh, every day was that.
Was it?
All of it together.
All of it combined. My kumu are amazing, and they are so good at breaking you down to build you back up. And so I cried every day. I'm a crybaby already, but
when you find that time when you're closing up shop and you're the only one there and you're sitting there and you just, all these things come at you, what do you do? What do you do to release all that? What do you do to besides cry?
Besides crying, I would go running.
As if it wasn't enough. 4 hours of hula.
But I would even before practices, when I got too stressed, too tense, I literally would just go running around the park, We used to practice at St. Francis at the time because my dad was the AD, and so we got the gym, and we would, mark Mary Monarch lines on the gym floor. I just run around around the campus just because I had to, that was the only way I could release the tension, cry as I ran. But it was, why am I doing this? Do I even love hula anymore? I don't know.
Do you ever, I call it time warping. You ever black out? Mary Monarch one year, I don't know, I freaked out. So, we would bus, wait in the back, off the bus, on the floor, back on the bus. I remember standing on the bus and hula brother in front of me, I was like, what is the first motion?
Oh, you black out. Yeah. Well, the second you get to Edith Kanakaole Stadium,
you time warp.
You cannot, I used to I remember doing, it was for my Miss Hula, one of the practices, and I literally just blacked. Kumu was like, you have 2 minutes on stage by yourself, go figure out your spacing, figure it out. And I'm literally on stage, and I'm ready to cry again, because I was like, well, how does my third verse go? And I'm freaking out, and then the more I freak out, and I don't want to piss off Kumu, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, just Lena, just let it go, don't think about it. It's naturally gonna come, because we've been preparing for this for how long? So I'm like, just don't think about it. It is what it is. And sure enough, it came, and then Kumu talked to me after too, and he was like, I saw that, girl.
Yeah, you want to drop to your knees and be like,
help me.
Please,
I don't know.
You're praying. What is it? The Hawaiian host chocolate sign. You're Hawaiian Airlines sign. Somebody give me a sign.
Exactly.
Do you close your eyes now and can you see the grid?
Oh yeah.
On the floor.
Oh,
Isn't that?
sure.
It's the crazy thing.
It's so crazy.
Listen, I'm giving away my ideas. That's the next T-shirt. Just a T-shirt with the Mary Monarch grid. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
I'm telling
That's
you.
True.
See, I got to stop giving. No, Hale always says, stop giving away your ideas. So with that, so now as far as that, did that help? Aloha Hula Supply obviously is the lifeline, but now that you have inside marketing, how did Japan must have went crazy even more? Do you guys have a big market in Japan? Because I go to the website and you guys international.
Yeah.
What's the furthest? I went to public school. Farthest. How far did the furthest place you send implements? Japan, Germany.
Oh no, Europe, and
we've
further.
done Italy. We've done Hungary, random countries. Yeah. Italy's actually kind of a more popular country, considering.
Yeah. And they order. There's halal in Italy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the strangest place a halal had called or ordered and you're like, where is this?
I can't even think of the name of the country because there was one. And
There
we
was one more
looked it up
recently.
like,
I mean, we've
where's
done
this-
Israel.
yeah.
Really?
We've done,
I mean, these are like individual ones,
Yeah.
randomly.
But still, though, the
I
fact
mean,
that
Egypt, it's you'd be surprised. It's
all over the
all
world.
over.
and what are they ordering more? What culture are they ordering more? Hula? Is it Samoa?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
always hula,
hula.
stuff.
I'm always amazed at how far-reaching hula goes. To me, no matter even if they kind of lose a little bit of the ano of hula, it's still there. With just like Japan. Now, how many times are you still Japan back and forth all the time? Or
I mean,
besides the
So
pandemic?
before I even was in halal, we used to go. Me and Mom used to go already to
Right.
do workshops. So we've been doing that. We used to do maybe I think 2 or 3 times a year.
That's
Do
a
you-
marketing tool.
Do you
right?
see a huge increase in because I don't think it's going to stop in Japan.
Yeah. Oh no, it's
gonna
definitely
stop.
not
It's
gonna
actually
stop.
40% of our business is Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, 40%.
Another thing I want to talk about, we're talking about all the things that you folks have at the supply, but you know what amazes me? Usually I do this. I don't know if you guys can probably see me on the camera, but before I go upstairs, I always just stand at the warehouse
yeah.
and watch them make uli and watch them make Maori skirts and watch them do it because most of the implements and most of the product are made in the warehouse.
Yeah.
A good portion.
Not-
We've talked about like with uli uli, we say it's like about 14 hands have touched your uli uli before it's pau.
I remember, Dancing at Paradise Cove, O'Brien was our entertainer, and he always loved the monster uli.
Huge.
Oh, yeah.
With
Like
the
I remember
special order
practicing.
for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still have mine, and we, just cuts on the forehead because you're
Because the
trying
thing
to.
was like this big.
Yeah, and it's like, oh wait, how?
It's like a 20-inch
That's what I
thing.
mean.
Yeah, it's huge.
And I would go and I'd watch how do you find them? Because as a dancer, we make our own implements, right? It took me literally probably a year to make a punil.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, they're master craftsmen. These employees have come with us from Hula Supply Center. A lot of them are still there. They're now starting to retire because they're getting older in years. But it's one culture. They all are from the Laotian culture.
No way.
And so they're a tight knit group. They, but they work together. They live together. They all they're related. This one is this one's sister, and that one's brother-in-law.
Their skill
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
very, very Hawaiian. Because as Hawaiians, when we made Nahana no Eau, we were such overachievers,
Yeah,
right? We
for
wanted to
sure.
make things the best quality, the best. I didn't know that Laotian.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're wonderful workers, and whenever I need another one, I'll go to the community for another worker.
Again, mind
Right?
blown. Now, speaking of I watch them. Could somebody? You guys do work? Can somebody teach? Right? You guys have
we've
been.
dabbled with this thought
Uh-huh.
of possibly doing the teaching of how to make an uli uli, but there's so much involved in that, and then to do it right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because people have also talked about automating the system.
Oh,
But
that
cannot,
would be
because then
rough.
you
That would be
lose
yes.
a lot of that.
The process.
Yeah, the
is
process.
gone.
Process you lose. I mean, I think when it comes to Hawaiian culture, a lot of it is this mana that you put into it.
Exactly.
That people don't understand, and so you lose all of that by when you automate these kinds of things.
And that's why I appreciate so much that I always tell people before you go into the door, just stand by the warehouse.
Yeah.
These weren't made in a factory. You can't. I don't even think you can make it in a factory. Like people come to Ha'ola Village where I'm at and they steal our la'amea. And I'm just...
Yeah.
Because they think it's avocado first. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, avocado.
It kind of does look like
That's
avocado.
what I mean when it's first. But that's why I appreciate the fact that it's there, that people can see these are actually still being made by hand. And I think that's the beauty of any Polynesian implement or dressing is that you have to make it by hand. And you guys have been doing what I really love, all the online videos that you guys are doing about
our new
hula.
pivot. Yeah.
Good friend Rich Padrina, I just seen
Yes.
him on that. We just did with Maui Nui, and then I love those things. And the fact that you guys are continually moving forward,
Well,
is that
you
going to be a
needed to do
new
something.
thing? Is that going to be continuing, or is that just because of the pandemic?
Oh, no.
It was a idea. I mean, we've always had these ideas, like, oh, we should do this and we should do that. And, with the pandemic, it allowed us opportunities that, you really wouldn't have we wouldn't have expanded to this because we're always so busy doing what we normally do.
The day-to-day
Yeah.
of running a business, yeah. But then, we lost about 58% of our business last year. But luckily the only way we survived was because I had to let go all 17 employees and only Kelina and I ran the business for the last 10 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's heavy.
Yeah, but it allowed us to be here because there's so much kuleana in what we do, and we needed to make sure we survived it.
Exactly that. That's the kuleana of you're almost like you're the keepers. Although as dancers we make our own things,
Right.
but you're also that keeper of this art. I call implements. I call costume making. All of it is art, wherever it comes from or whoever makes it. So I appreciate that. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo to both of you and the Ohana for making time, for doing what you guys do. Business as culture, culture as business. The fact that the way you were raised all the way up to teaching and learning and now sharing that through Aloha Hula Supply. So mahalo, mahalo, mahalo for that. This is Culturized, the extended version right here on YouTube. You can get more on our YouTube page. Our website is culturized.com. Again, thank you, Kaimi Okekai, for my clothing, and Aloha Hula Supply for making everybody look good on stage. This is Culturized.